In the showdown of the Champions League champion and the Premier League champion, it is Manchester City that come out on top with a 1-0 victory. It was a chess match of the highest proportions, and Janusz Michallik joins us right now. Janusz, this was a statement game coming from Pep Guardiola and Manchester City. What does that statement say, though?
Well, I mean, ahead of the game, all the talk was about Thomas Tuchel beating Pep Guardiola, last 3 times that they've met, maybe out coaching him, out thinking him. And I think there's a little bit of truth in that, I suppose. But, I never bought into it. It just happens sometimes because we often forget that Pep Guardiola has beaten Thomas Tuchel in the Bundesliga 5 times out of the 5 games. So, has Thomas Tuchel learned? Perhaps, I suppose. But what we found out is that the champions of the Premier League are back. We wonder ahead of this game, Aaron, because there has been a gauntlet thrown to Manchester City. 3 massive away games, starting with this one at Chelsea, away in the Champions League to Paris Saint-Germain, and away to Liverpool, right? So they've had to answer their form early in the season, and they have done that, and they have done that in an emphatic way, right? And you can quite clearly say that Thomas Tuchel and Chelsea got it wrong with the starting lineup. If they got the result out of that, Aaron, I think we're talking differently. And they look good and well organized in the first half defensively. But when you play with 3 center backs and 3 defensive-minded midfielders, you better get it right in the end. And they didn't do that.
This game ended 1-0, but this could have easily been 3-0 with those saves by Mendy, keeping Jack Grealish out of this. This chess match between Tuchel and Pep Guardiola was on full display. What were the adjustments that Pep did that could have made this a 3-0 game?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing that Pep Guardiola did, and we have to give him credit, just as we do to Thomas Tuchel when we've seen some games, is that seeing that strong and robust midfield of Chelsea with Jorginho and N'Golo Kante and Kovacic, he simply played around him. They really did. They used the width of the pitch, and Jack Grealish was tremendous. On the other side, Cancelo on that side as well. Gabriel Jesus looked good, on the right hand side, and they nullified that midfield, right? Even though when the pitch was there, they still won their battles from time to time. So Rodri, once again, massive. It was good for Manchester City that he was back because he was questionable as well. So yes, I mean, you look at the chances in the second half, Chelsea had to open up and Manchester City saw a little bit of space on counter, and Grealish had a couple of chances. Mendy was tremendous. Gabriel Jesus was stopped by Jorginho on the line as well. So I don't think you can doubt who the better team was. And quite frankly, the better team won. I mean, if you look at City, they were more aggressive, better pressing, better in recovery of the ball, better possession throughout the match as well. So it was tremendous. And they've done it with Bernardo Silva doing God's work in the center of the pitch. I mean, that man has ran more than anybody else. We've seen that a couple years ago. I don't think we saw that last season, but he was certainly back at his best.
Speaking of being back, Aymeric Laporte was back, and he joined Ruben Diaz in that central defense for Manchester City. And with Timo Werner coming off of a match that he scored a goal, Lukaku is well on a hot streak. You would have expected that this Chelsea attack would have been a little bit more lethal. We did not see that today, Janusz. Why was that?
Well, because simply Chelsea didn't have the ball. That's what happens sometimes when Manchester City are at their best, right? I think Lukaku is probably better off by himself there. Timo Werner, I could understand that sort of because you knew that Manchester City are going to have possession most of the time. They're going to press high. So I suppose if you're Timo Werner, that's one of those games that you're going to see some space in behind the back four. And by the way, he did. Timo Werner had half a chance here and there, but Lukaku was quiet. But then again, Manchester City didn't do anything really in the first half. And, before we start absolutely gloating about Manchester City, we do have to point out that they missed the number 9. I don't buy into Phil Foden being false 9 or Kevin De Bruyne playing higher or sometimes number 9. They missed that. They missed that sort of a player that they needed to get absolutely. Look, I mean, it's a waste of talent if you're putting Phil Foden as a false 9 and Kevin De Bruyne in that position from time to time, because they are at their best when they run at you from deep in the midfield. Today, they did fine, but nothing more, right? I mean, for me, it's absolute nonsense, and Pep Guardiola and Manchester City have got to fix that very, very quickly.
Thanks a so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.